Hello, I'm Stuart from SB Leadworks. Welcome to the next video. So I've decided to make another welding video. I have got a few welding videos already on the channel, but they were when I first started this. So now I've got a mic and everything, and I've been doing it for nearly 2 years now. Actually, this YouTube channel. I'm going to make another one, and hopefully I can improve on the original ones that I've got out there. And some people in the comments have said, you know, they can't really see what I'm doing too clearly because the camera angle and all the rest of it. So I'm going to try and make another one. Now I'm slightly more experienced in this, still relatively new obviously, but now I've got a little bit more experience. I'll try and get the camera in on a better angle and see if I can make things a bit clearer. Okay, so before we get welded, I'm just going to briefly just talk about the equipment I've got here for this. So this is called a porta pack. I've got oxygen here in a size E. This one here is acetylene in a size K. And from the cylinders we have our regulators. This is a single stage 1.5 acetylene regulator. This one here is a multi-stage 4-bar oxygen regulator. You don't need multi-stage, but if you can afford it, I would go down that route. They're just better at keeping a more consistent flame because it's multi-stage. First of all, it reduces the pressure coming into the actual regulator itself, and then from that reduced pressure you can then get your steady flame, whereas the single stage has to work twice as hard. So that's that. And then from the regs we have flashback arresters, and from the flashbacks we have our hoses. Now this is a 10-meter hose, and honestly it just makes my life so much easier. Sometimes I can just leave the gas bottles on the floor and the hose is big enough to reach where I'm welding, and you haven't got to keep moving them around. It's a bit more of a faff to wind up, but I do believe it's worth it. Just the fact that sometimes you don't have to carry the bottles up, and you can leave the bottles quite far away from where you're working sometimes. And yeah, so it's definitely easier in that respect, I think. And then we have our torch. This is a Modulo torch. If you are thinking about getting your own welding setup, I would strongly recommend making sure you've got a Modulo torch above anything else. I've had replicas before in the past and they're just not as good. The flame always changes. It's hard to get a nice flame and consistent, and honestly it's worth the money getting a proper Modulo torch. So that's the equipment that we've got, and that's just neatly stored in this carry cage. Okay, so one thing I did just forget to mention is the size of nozzle that I use. And this is a number 3 that I use on here. It's just the one that I get on best with. Some people, I think, use a number 2, but I've always used a 3. Right, so now we've covered that. Let's get these turned on. So I'm just going to turn on this acetylene. This is like a little twisty thing just to turn this on. And oxygen, just need a bottle key for that. And that just goes in there. I'm just going to give that a couple of turns down. Don't need to fully open it, there's no need. Just give that a couple of turns. Right, so now we're going to do, so we're going to set the pressure to the acetylene first. So I normally have mine about 0.4. Just see that needle going up around there now. So that is about 0.4 there. Oxygen, I have the same as well. And you'll just see that one just move around in a minute as I wind this up. And there we are. So that is now ready to start welding with. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut some welding rods off. This is just a scrap piece of lead I've got. Anything over code 4 is suitable for welding with. So I'm just going to cut some relatively thin sticks off this. Just cut a couple, just a couple for now, I think. What I'm then going to do is I'm just going to get a shaver, and I'm just going to clean this up, just to make it easier to weld with. Okay, so I think that's ready now. So I'm going to do a lap weld for this. It's what I always do. I never do butt welds. I always do lap welds. I'm just going to cut a couple of bits off so we can do that, just to show you. Okay, so I'm just going to lap this by about, you know, just 25 mil or so. Right, let's fire up the gas. Get a lighter. There we go. Right, so just turning on the acetylene just a little bit to begin with. Oh, that's a little bit too fierce. It's really coming through. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to slowly introduce the oxygen, and as I do that you'll see the flame start to change. And what we're looking for is a little white ball. It's not too sharp. Let's have a look. Something like that. So what you can do first is you can just practice without a filler rod. You can just practice getting the flame the right distance away from the lead. You want to be quite close, but literally just off. If you actually do touch the lead, it's going to probably fire it all at you. So be a bit careful. You are supposed to wear goggles for this. So you can just practice first. Just, you can see that molten lead there. That's what we're looking for. So you can just practice doing that just to begin with. And if you want to, you can even just practice just on that sheet as well. And it's actually, that is quite a fierce flame, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn that down a little bit. So I've just opened the oxygen to makes that flame bigger, and then reduce the acetylene, and that little ball will go back again. So I'm just going to get a couple of little tacks just to keep this in place. So I'm just making that little pool again. I haven't even added any filler rod yet. I'm going to make that little pool, and then I'm going to add it. I'll do the same with this end just to keep it down. So we're going to make that little pool, and we're just going to add. Oh, hello. You right? Yeah, not too bad. Yep. That was my wife that just got home. Right, so I'm just going to turn that off for a minute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get a shaver, and I'm just going to clean up this area ready to be welded. Can't believe that. What timing, eh? Oh well, she won't mind. Right, so I'm just going to clean this up. Right, that is now ready. So what we're going to do again is just open the acetylene a little bit, light that up, be a little bit more gas come through, introduce the oxygen so the flame changes, just go to that little white shiny ball. It's not too sharp, you don't want it sharp and pointy, you want it quite roundy, but not too, you don't want it too like feathery. See that there, that's too much of a feather, so we want to, that's it, looking for something like that. Right, so what we're going to do, just bring that sort of like white shiny ball there. We want to just have that literally just off the lead. So it's just going to be just off. So I've turned the flame down now, so you can see I can leave it there for longer before it starts to pull like that. So it's easier to work with, it gives you more time. So we're making that little pull, and we're going to add, we're going to spread it. So we're going to make that little pull, we're going to add, and then we're going to spread it. We're going to make that little pull, we're going to add, we're going to spread it. And we're just going to carry on repeating this process. You just make that little pull, add the filler rod, and spread it. Also, what you want to do is you want to always make sure that it's not lifted at all. You always want it to be completely flat. So we're just making a little pull, add the filler rod, and spread it. Make the little pull, add that filler rod, and just spread it. And that is it. Just go through now. Just might as well go to the end. Obviously, the cooler you have the flame, the more time you get to work with it. If it's really fierce, the moment you go in anywhere near it, it's got a good chance of just burning straight through. So especially if you're starting out, have quite a cold flame just to get used to it, and it just gives you a bit longer to work with it. This is a pretty good temperature, to be honest. Make sure that's completely down. I'm hoping this is better. I've tried to put the camera angle as good as I can. Let's carry on, just going right to the end there. Obviously, this is the easiest type of welding when you're on a flat. When you get a bit of vertical and things like that, it becomes a little bit more trickier. I have got some other videos out there on tips of how to do that as well, if you want to go and check them out, if you ever need to come across a bit of vertical welding. So yeah, just making that pull, add the filler rod, and spread it. Getting a bit low. I think I'll get another stick there before I burn my fingers. Okay, so that is that. So as I say, the first thing that you can do if you're just starting out, I'm just practicing, just get used to making that little pull. You can see you can leave it there for quite a long time. I think it'll probably be quite a long time actually at this temperature before it actually goes through. Let's see how long it actually takes. Yeah, it's giving me loads of time to work with it. If I just lift it off actually a little bit, yeah, you can see it's giving me quite a lot of time before it actually goes through. So that is that. So I hope you like this video and you managed to get a few tips from it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You can check me out on Instagram at @SOBLedworks. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hopefully catch you in the next. Cheers.